I feel disrespected. Yesterday I watched the last episode of Dragon Ball Daima, and after having finished that episode, instead of having the great emotions that I was expecting, instead of having felt joy, instead of being hyped, instead of seeing that last credit scene and thinking, damn, I want to see more of Dragon Ball. What am I happy to know that Dragon Ball will not die, that this franchise will continue on even after Toriyama's death. Rest in peace. Instead of feeling all of these emotions, I, for the very first time in my life, felt ashamed to be a Dragon Ball fan. It's something that I would never have thought I would ever say, but I was ashamed to be a Dragon Ball fan because that ending was so bad. It was so bad I felt like they spit in our face. In the faces of Dragon Ball fans. It was so bad I felt disgusted. I felt ashamed with that ending. And after that ending, I had to admit it. Dragon Ball Daima was Smith. Dragon Ball Daima is Smith. I'm going to explain why it is Smith, because I like to back my claims with a lot of arguments behind them. And I know that a lot of people online, they will turn blind to all of the criticism that people gave Daima over the last couple of weeks, because I've seen it. I've seen how people try to defend Daima, and I don't think that a lot of the arguments that people give are good arguments. And that's why I'm trying to have some arguments, and I hope that you will be able to engage with them. So, first and foremost, I have to tell you that I came in good faith into watching Dragon Ball Daima, because I, for the last the last months, only watched the first episode of Daima, and I decided to wait, let all of the episodes stack up, and then watch it in 1 week, because it was an adventure. They sold Daima as an adventure that was going to go back into the roots, and not only that, Toriyama was one of the leaders of this project. Like, he took on a great load of the writing in that project. I was hyped because I knew what Toriyama had written in his prime. Because, Dragon Ball to me feels almost like a religion. I know Dragon Ball basically by heart. OG Dragon Ball into Z, I know it. I've read it multiple times. I've watched the anime multiple times. And I was very hopeful for Dragon Ball Daima. Because if you know me, I am someone that is very critical. I even made a video about everything that is wrong with Goku in Super, and especially the Super manga. And I went into detail with the things that don't make sense, and the things that just destroy the character of Goku that we have seen in OG Dragon Ball and all throughout Dragon Ball Z. And when I started Daima, and for the entirety of Daima, let's be honest, I noticed one thing, and it's that Dragon Ball Daima is the best that Dragon Ball has ever looked. You can't even tell me that it isn't like that. Because it looked beautiful, the animations were great, the transformations looked phenomenal. So in terms of aesthetic, in terms of creating that feeling of, ooh, that's cool, Dragon Ball Daima had all of it. But the problem of Daima is not that. The problem of Daima is that it has no substance, Dragon Ball Daima, how does it start? Basically, you have Goma, who looks at the whole Buu saga happening in his screen, and it was a beautiful moment. It looked phenomenal, it looked beautiful. And Goma sees how Goku and Ko and the Z Fighter Soul were able to defeat Majin Buu. And he felt threatened, so he went on Earth and used the Dragon Balls to wish for all of the allies of Goku and Goku himself to turn into children. And then he kidnapped Dende. So now, the crew and Goku basically had to go to the Demon Realm to not only save Dende, but try to find a way to turn back into adults. It was an interesting starting point for the narrative, right? The problem is that Dragon Ball Daima doesn't expand further out of that. Nothing. There's nothing outside of this. There's no narrative, there is no internal conflict or character development outside of maybe Glorio, and even then, that whole thing with Glorio being a traitor was so non-existent. You already knew that he would not betray them. You already knew, and at no point did I feel like he might betray them. Never did I feel that. And at that point, there's no character development, there's no narrative. Basically, like, the narrative was so bad that I couldn't even say that it had a narrative. You know, when I watched this, bro, I was like, at some point I was thinking to myself, bro, even My Little Pony is better. And you know, I might be doing My Little Pony a disservice by comparing it to Daima because it actually has a good story and good characters. But ironically, My Little Pony is good. You know, when I was watching Daima, at some point I understood one thing. And it's that to fully enjoy Daima, you actually had to forget everything that you knew about Dragon Ball. Because if you think about the logic, about all of the adventures, about all of the things that happened in prior things of Dragon Ball, even OG Dragon Ball, and I want to talk about OG Dragon Ball next. If you think about all of the things that Goku and Vegeta have done, if you think about the levels of power that they have, if you think about everything that Goku has done in his life, even before Z, a lot of the things that happen in Daima don't make sense. A lot of the things that happen in Daima just feel so out of touch, you know? You know, when people were talking about Daima being this adventure, being this gag thing that Toriyama was doing, and that it was pure OG Dragon Ball, at some point I was like, is it? Is it really? Because when I was watching Daima, I was seeing the adventure, I was seeing like the gags, even though they were not that great. I was seeing all of that, and I was like, how do people think that this is what OG Dragon Ball was about? You know? And at some point I was starting to, after having watched the episode, I was starting to doubt myself. And I was starting to doubt my own knowledge of OG Dragon Ball and of Dragon Ball, something that is pretty much my religion. And you know what I did? I decided to read the first 55 chapters of Dragon Ball. I decided to reread all of them. And you know what? I am happy to have done that, because I confirmed once again that I was not crazy. And Dragon Ball Daima is not like OG Dragon Ball. You know, OG Dragon Ball, it starts as this parody of the adventure. It starts as a parody of the young boy who doesn't know anything of the world, and that starts to have its adventure with like the princess looking girl. Like, it's a parody of that, because Goku, he starts off extremely busted, very strong. He doesn't have any common sense, doesn't know what a girl is, does extremely crude things. Bulma, instead of like the princess, the good girl that you might expect, is like a wild teenager. Like, the first thing that she does is shoot Goku. Afterwards, they have their whole adventure. The whole reason that they want to have this adventure is to summon the Dragon Shenron, and Bulma is going to wish herself a boyfriend. Like, it was purely comedic. It didn't take itself seriously. Like, even the old master, Kami Sennin, he's a pervert. Like, the old wise master that will train the young talent. Like, that's one of the things that it parodied. You know, Dragon Ball, up to a certain point, was a parody. But you know what? After the 23rd chapter, it stopped being like only gags. It stopped being only gags, and it became something more. You had Goku who started to train with Master Roshi. You had the 22nd World Tournament, my bad. And then the whole story of Dragon Ball became something more. It became more serious, it became more adventurous. You have characters who started to develop more. You had characters who started to get into serious situations. You had a real narrative. Like, when I started the Red Ribbon Army, bro, you can tell me that's comparable to Daima? So no, Dragon Ball Daima is not doing the same thing that OG Dragon Ball did. Like, it had its gags, and even then, bro, the gags, like, after, like, the 12, like, episode 12 in Dragon Ball, OG Dragon Ball, like, that's about where the things start to get serious. Like, that was when, that's starting episode 13, that Goku starts training with Master Roshi, and we see, like, that martial arts part of Dragon Ball, and there still are some gags here and there. There are a lot of gags when Goku fights Master Roshi and all of that, but it becomes serious, it becomes something more. It becomes an actual story, with an actual narrative, with actual characters, and actual growth. You know, the first 23 chapters of Dragon Ball were just an introduction. Dragon Ball Daima was just 20 episodes of filler. 20 episodes of... Not fully 20 episodes, but like at least 15 episodes of filler. of things that just happen. And like stupid gags. And even the gags I want to talk about, the gags were not even that good. The only gag I actually was laughing for was the one with Vegeta. That's the only gag I laughed for. And like I just reread OG Dragon Ball. And I was enjoying the gags that happened in that manga right now. I enjoyed them. So it's not about age. It isn't about that. It's just that the gags weren't that good. To really enjoy Daima, you have to forget so many things that were there prior to really enjoy it. To really enjoy whatever there was. And now I want to talk about the worst villain in Dragon Ball history, King Goma. You know, Dragon Ball has had a lot of villains that were just kind of goofy, you know? A lot of villains are goofy, even in the early stages. You had the Pilaf Gang, goofy. Yamcha, even though he wasn't really a villain, was a goofy ass dude. He was afraid of women, he couldn't touch them. Otherwise, like, he had a whole schizo attack. Like, there were a lot of goofy villains, but Goma was brought to you as this clown-looking character who is not menacing at all throughout the entirety. He never felt menacing. He never felt like a villain to me. And then he gets his third eye and becomes the most busted villain ever. And like, what are his plans? Like, he wants to continue ruling over the demon realm. That's the only thing. Like, there is no narrative behind Goma. Goma doesn't even trigger a character growth, doesn't trigger anything in the characters. He's only there to be a clown and to become the most busted villain out there. That's the only thing that Goma did. Like, how can you compare Goma to the villains of the head? Mercenary Tao was menacing, was very cool. He felt like an actual villain. Demon King Piccolo, same thing. And then afterwards you had Piccolo Jr., same thing. The Saiyans. Like, don't even try to compare that thing, that clown, to like the likes of Cell and Frieza and Majin Buu. Don't even try. So we had the worst villain of Dragon Ball with King Goma, and that was not enough. They also tarnished one of the most iconic transformations ever. They tarnished Super Saiyan 4. You know, I will have to tell you, did it look cool? Was it hype when it first came out? Does it look great? Yes. Does it look powerful? Yes. Is Goku does he have yes. Yes to all of that. But that's not enough, you know? Because they made Super Saiyan 4 a lame ass transformation. I'm going to explain why this Super Saiyan 4 is lame compared to the OG Super Saiyan 4. Because this is bad. This is a bad transformation. You know, you have to first understand one thing. Transformations in Dragon Ball are not just things that were given because it looked cool. Transformations in Dragon Ball are only there to be a power-up. They aren't only there to make the characters look stronger, become stronger, or look cool, look strong. No. The transformations in Dragon Ball always were some narrative tool. They were a narrative tool for the story. You know, when Goku transformed into a Super Saiyan for the first time, why was it so iconic? It's because you had this whole build-up with Goku first off not accepting his Saiyan heritage, saying things like, I'm no Saiyan. He didn't say that he's no Saiyan. He was saying like, I'm Goku and I'm from Earth, and he didn't want to associate with the Saiyans. First when Raditz came, he didn't want to associate with him. Same thing when Vegeta and Nappa came. But then the Namek saga happens, the Frieza saga happens and all, and Goku started to accept that Saiyan heritage. And when Vegeta died, you know what happens? Goku buries Vegeta and wants to have a piece of that Saiyan pride because he has come to accept his own Saiyan nature. And then he fought Frieza, not only for the revenge of the Namekians, but for the revenge of all of the Saiyans that Frieza has killed. At that point, there was a lot of narrative weight behind Goku, and then after they fought and beat Frieza, and Frieza came and killed his best friend, Goku lost himself to rage and transformed into a Super Saiyan. The Super Saiyan transformation had a lot of narrative weight behind it. It had a goal, it had a meaning. Same thing with Super Saiyan 2. Gohan had always had that potential to become one of the strongest warriors. He always had it ever since he was a child. Like when he was a child, he was stronger than Goku and Piccolo. And even Reddit. Just by getting mad, he was like one-shotting Reddit, right? And now you had this moment. You had 16, who was like lying down on the ground with his head there, and he was giving a speech to Gohan about him not wanting to release all of that anger because Gohan was a pacifist. But he told him that he couldn't protect the people, he couldn't protect that nature if he kept being a pacifist, if he didn't release all of that anger. And then Cell killed 16. And at that point, Gohan understood that it's because he was sustaining himself that 16 just died. And then he let himself go and became a Super Saiyan 2. This Super Saiyan 2 transformation was a culmination of everything that we knew about Gohan. It was the build-up ever since he was a little kid. Only Super Saiyan 3 is the exception. But even then, Goku trained for 7 years. And the way that they brought Super Saiyan 2, like, it was so well done. It was so iconic. It was such a great scene. Like, yet Goku was like charging up, becoming stronger, going surpassing those limits, and everyone thought like, ain't no way he's going to go above Super Saiyan 2, right? You're joking with me. And then he did it. There were literally, he was making the whole planet shake. There were earthquakes of multiple magnitudes, buildings that were breaking, there were screens, TV screens that were like blowing up, electronics that were blowing up, and then Goku became a Super Saiyan 3. It was iconic, even though like, narratively, yes, Super Saiyan 3 didn't bring anything, at least it worked well. But with Super Saiyan 4 of Daima, what did they do? Bloop! Bloop! Here, get a power up. And you know, the worst thing is, bro, like when he got the Super Saiyan 4 transformation, I saw that I was like, you know what? Maybe they will give an explanation, like, at the end, for how he got the Super Saiyan 4 transformation. And you know what? After having watched the last episode, I would have preferred that they just didn't tell anything. Because you know what they told us? Goku just trained extremely hard after Majin Buu. And he didn't think he could do it, but like, after Neva gave him a power boost, he was able to tap into it. That's such a disgusting thing to do. Because if you think about how Goku attained Super Saiyan 4 in GT, it was it was iconic for this reason. Goku was fighting against Baby Vegeta, right? In one of the best arcs of GT. Because yeah, we're going to say that GT wasn't that good, but the Baby Vegeta arc was great. It told something. It was something great. Baby was taking revenge on the rest of the Saiyans because the Saiyans had killed all of the tuples, I think that they are called. They had killed all of the tuples, they had stolen their planets, and had stolen all of the technology. So Baby was made to have revenge on the Saiyans, and then Goku was there on the ground, he was defeated, and he was seeing planet Earth. He saw planet Earth, he was like, oh damn, I'm seeing this, and I feel bad, I'm cringing because I can't protect all of the people on Earth. And what happens? He transforms into an Ozaru because, first and foremost, he had to regrow his tail because a portion of his power was resided in his tail for some reason. He had to regrow his tail, but now that he had his tail back again, he could transform into an Ozaru, something that ties into the mythology of Dragon Ball, you know? And then Goku not only transformed into an Ozaru, but became a Golden Ozaru. But Goku never was able to control that form, so he went on a rampage. And thanks to Pan, his own granddaughter, coming to him, showing him the picture of him and his family and his friends, and crying, Goku remembered everything. He remembered all of those people, what his purpose was, and then he controlled that Ozaru form, and then he became the Super Saiyan 4. That is good writing. That form played a role in the narrative. The Super Saiyan 4 transformation in Daima literally was just an ass pull. If you are someone that disliked Super Saiyan Blue, the way they brought Super Saiyan Blue, I can't believe you when you say that you like the Super Saiyan 4 transformation in Daima. It is impossible. So yeah. And let's talk about that ending. That ending was the most anticlimactic ending that Dragon Ball has ever seen. And it's probably one of the worst endings in anime history. Let's not lie to ourselves. Okay, I'm maybe not anime history, but shonen history at the very least. One of the worst endings in shonen history. Because this ending, like when this ending happened, basically you had Goku was fighting Goma, and you had Piccolo. Like the whole plan was Goku is fighting Goma, and then you have Piccolo who should sneak Goma and like hit him 3 times in the head so that the evil third eye would pop out. That's how they would beat Goma. And Goku, like, is like fucking up Goma. It's like beating the crap out of Goma. And what happens now? Piccolo gets a chance to like hit Goma 3 times in the head. He starts with a kick. He goes with his backhand. And you know what happens? Goma back fists like the shit out of Piccolo. So now they aren't able to finish it. And what happens? Goku once again fights with Goma. He continues doing things like that. And then Goma like goes stronger and stronger, yada yada yada. And what happens? Majin Buu somehow is behind Goma and hits him 3 times with the book. 1, 2, 3. And that is how the conflict ends. Majin Buu happens to magically get behind Goma, hits him 3 times in the head, and that's how it ends. You know, at that moment, I felt disrespected because I had the feeling that they disrespected our intelligence. And you might say that this is a children's show, you don't have to take it that seriously. And at that point, you also are disrespecting the children's intelligence. Because I can't, in good faith, say that this is something I want to show my children. Like, it's so bad, I feel disrespected, and I feel that we are disrespecting the children's intelligence by showing that to them and saying, yeah, that's for children. Because, like, bro, like, remember shows like Teen Titans? Remember just OG Dragon Ball? Remember Naruto? Remember Inazuma 11? Remember all of these shows that we grew up with? They don't disrespect the children's intelligence like that. Even no, you know what? It's worse than that, bro. Shows like My Little Pony don't disrespect children's intelligence like that. Like they did with Dragon Ball Daima. They don't. They do not. They do not. So like, after saying that, by the way, it's after 5 minutes, the rest of the episode is literally just them celebrating, like, Majin Buu becoming Demon King, like, I felt disrespected watching the last part of that episode. Like, literally, I was filming myself, like, when I was live reacting, because I was like, oh shit, it's going to be the last episode, I can use this footage. And like the first 5 minutes of the episode, I was happy. I was enjoying. I was like, ooh, you know, maybe they were going to bring out things to make it hype. Because at that point, I already knew that the narrative of Daima would not ever get better. I knew that it would never get better. Because you can't fix everything in 1 or 2 episodes. It's impossible. And I thought, you know what? Maybe they will go all in on the fan service. Maybe they will bring out a fusion. Maybe they will bring out Super Saiyan 4 Vegeta. Hell, maybe they will bring out Piccolo doing cool shit, you know? That did not happen. We got disrespected as fans. You know? At the end of the day, Daima, when I saw Daima, I felt like it wasn't even as good as Super. Like, the only thing that Daima has better than Super, and even GT, you know what? I won't even say this. The only thing that Daima is better at than GT and Dragon Ball Super is animation. That is it. Animations and OSTs. I'm not going to lie. Animations and OSTs. These are the only thing that Daima were better at. And, you know, at some point I understood what the problem with Daima is. And it's the fact that they didn't create the story to give us fans, us long-term fans, a well-deserved, great story for loving Dragon Ball. They didn't create the story because they wanted to give a story. They wanted to tell something. It wasn't about that. It's the same reason that Dragon Ball Heroes exists. It's to sell, and it's to sell. In video games, DLCs, toys, for everything that's third party, that is the reason that Daima exists actually. You know? You know what is the proof of that? After Super Saiyan 4, Daima Goku got released. After that episode, you know, a few days later, or I don't even know if it was a few days later, the first figurine of Mini Super Saiyan 4 Goku came out. You know, after the last episode of Daima was out, you know, we saw that there would be a DLC of adult Super Saiyan 3 Vegeta in Dragon Ball Xenoverse 2. And at that point, I knew it. The thing is, I always knew. We already knew that Dragon Ball was just a golden goose. Dragon Ball has become a golden goose. Like, it's free. It's free money that they are printing with all of the hype that they created, new transformations and all that. But I still had some shred of hope that with all of the involvement of Toriyama, that they might tell something. But they didn't. And at that point, either Toriyama just has lost his touch with the pen in his last years and just wanted to write some dumb things. Either that or Toriyama wasn't involved at all. All things considered, this was not Prime Toriyama. This is not Prime Toriyama, because even the gags were not as funny as the gags in OG Dragon Ball. There is no narrative behind the story. Like, there's nothing that I would say has substance in Daima. Even the transformations just like are asspools. Most of them. Like Super Saiyan 3 Vegeta, I can give him that because I know Vegeta. Vegeta is a grinder. He has that grind mentality. But making Super Saiyan 4 Goku a literal asspool was the worst thing that they could have done. And I'm pained because this is the legacy that Toriyama has left behind, allegedly. This is the legacy that Toriyama has left behind, and I can't call Daima peak fiction. And that's another thing. I don't understand how people can call Daima peak fiction. I don't even think it's possible to, like if we go look back on Daima in like 2 to 3 years, the only thing I can say was good about Daima was its animation and OST. These are the only things. The animation, OST, and the fact that it looked good. And it looked cool. These are the only qualities that Daima had. So I'm just sad, and I don't know where this franchise is heading towards. I don't know where this franchise, that Dragon Ball is heading towards. And at some point, I just start thinking that Dragon Ball should have ended at sea. It should have ended because, you know, a lot of good shows have left the scene. Yu Yu Hakusho is a great example. Saint Seiya. These shows, after having finished their story, after having done telling their story, they left the scene. And they went away. And their legacy has not been tarnished. And like the thing that irritates me most is like, you might have continued Dragon Ball, and like, you could have done something good with it. You could have made a great story. You could have made something like that was worth watching. Because look at One Piece. One Piece, it has been what, 30 years? I don't know for how long One Piece has been written now, exactly. But One Piece still is peak fiction. It still is. To this day, it still is one of the best pieces of anime and manga that are out there. So like, it pains me to see Dragon Ball just tarnished by Dragon Ball Daima. And I know a lot of people will not think that. I know that a lot of people will just like shrug it off and say, well, you know, you shouldn't take that seriously. It's just a children's anime. It's just dumb gags. You know, Toriyama liked gags. Yada yada yada. This is the last, like the last work of Toriyama. Yeah, sure, it was the last work of Toriyama. May he rest in peace. And it, you know, it hurts most because I'm recording this video on the 1 year anniversary of his death. But even though this is the last work of Toriyama, it does not give me the right to disrespect the work that he made before this. It does not give me the right to disrespect Dragon Ball and DBZ. It does not give me the right to just not put it on the same level of criticism as I did for Dragon Ball and Dragon Ball Z. It doesn't give me the right to do that because I love Dragon Ball. So I need to be harsh on it. I need to like be real with it. If it is shit, if it is bad, I have to say it. And Dragon Ball Daima, it looked phenomenal. The OST was good. The animations look cool. And like, if you turn off your brain, if you don't think about anything, if you forget everything that you know about Dragon Ball, if you put a little child, a little 3-4-year-old child in front of that screen watching Dragon Ball, you will be able to enjoy it. You know, when the adventure started, I was doing my best to enjoy it. You know what? I started to think, you know what? Let's not think about the logic behind it. Let's not think about everything that I saw before. And I started to try to enjoy it. But these last episodes, like they made it impossible for me to enjoy it because I know my Dragon Ball. And it pains me to say this, but Dragon Ball should have ended. Dragon Ball should have died after the Blue Saga. You know, they should have let Dragon Ball rest. But it's impossible because it's one of the most lucrative franchises ever. Even though Dragon Ball Super, like, has a lot of mishaps. Even though there are a lot of things that don't work out with the writing. And now, even though Daima was literally written in the worst ways possible, like that I could think of, it will still print a lot of money because we are basically Dragon Ball's bitches. Like, you know, the worst thing is, you know, when I saw Super Saiyan 4 Goku, and after Daima ended, you know what I think about Super Saiyan 4 Goku? You know what I thought? Well, at least it will make Great Dokkan a Legends unit. At least the toys will be looking good. At least we'll have a lot of DLCs. That is the only thing I could think about, because that transformation only looks good. The only thing about that transformation is that it looks good. And that it looks cool. It looks strong. That's the only thing. Nothing else. So yeah. I feel ashamed to be a Dragon Ball fan right now. I feel ashamed to love Dragon Ball at this moment because of that episode. And, you know, I had the time to at least recollect my thoughts because yesterday, bro, I was crashing out. Yesterday, I even went onto a tweet spree, like, crashing out about how shit this was. Like, my lord. But yeah, these are the only things I can think about right now. If you are against my what think, if you think that I like was talking out of my ass, if you think that I was wrong, like, I am always open for discussion, but at least engage with my points. At least don't engage with bad faith argumentation. Like, leave a comment, contact me on Twitter. I will try my best to respond. Anyways, this was Sortigana. I will see you next time. Like, subscribe. I don't know. You know, at this point, I'm just hoping that Toyotaro does Dragon Ball justice. So, that's about it. This was Sortigana. Like, subscribe, comment away. I'll see you next time.